Vaccines. Praised as miracles, dismissed as threats, spun into symbols of science, control, and everything in between. But strip away the noise, and one truth remains. Vaccines save lives. So let's clear the fog. Myth 1. Vaccines are new and experimental. Truth. Vaccines have been saving lives for over 200 years. From smallpox eradication in 1980 to the near elimination of polio, vaccines have reshaped human history. Edward Jenner's cowpox experiment in 1796 wasn't a fluke. It was the beginning of a global transformation. Since then, vaccines have tamed diphtheria, tetanus, measles, and more. These aren't experimental novelties. They're the result of centuries of refinement, global collaboration, and relentless testing. Every vaccine we use today stands on the shoulders of thousands of trials, millions of data points, and generations of scientific rigor. Myth 2. My immune system can handle it naturally. Truth. The immune system works better with rehearsal. Your immune system is a brilliant strategist, capable of identifying threats, deploying defenses, and remembering enemies for decades. But it needs rehearsal. That's what a vaccine provides. It introduces a harmless version of the threat, sometimes a fragment, sometimes a weakened form, just enough to teach your body what to look for. So when the real virus arrives, your defenses don't panic. They respond with precision, fast, focused, effective. This isn't cheating nature. It's partnering with it. A significant portion of the damage caused by COVID-19, especially in severe cases, was due to an overreaction of the immune system, often referred to as a cytokine storm. This doesn't happen with vaccines. Cytokine storms are the result of an uncontrolled infection. Myth 3. Vaccine ingredients are toxic and secret. Truth. They're measured, monitored, and mundane. You've heard the rumors: mercury, microchips, mystery chemicals. But here's the truth. Vaccine ingredients are measured in micrograms, millionths of a gram. They include stabilizers like gelatin, salts like sodium chloride, and preservatives like thimerosal. These help the vaccine stay effective during transport and storage. Many are found in everyday foods, drinks, or medications in far higher quantities. Every ingredient is tested, every batch is reviewed, and every claim of harm is investigated. This isn't alchemy, it's chemistry with oversight. Neither Pfizer nor Moderna's mRNA vaccines contain fetal cells or fetal tissue. During early development, researchers used lab-grown cell lines to test how the vaccine components worked. These cell lines, like HEK293, were originally derived from fetal tissue in 1973, but have been replicated in labs for decades. They are not fetal tissue, and no new tissues were involved. So when people refer to fetal cell lines used in testing, they're talking about lab-grown descendants of cells originally harvested in the early 1970s, not fresh tissue, and not something present in the vaccines themselves. Myth 4. Side effects mean the vaccine is dangerous. Truth. Mild side effects are signs of learning. A sore arm, a low fever, maybe a day of fatigue. These aren't failures, they're proof your immune system is responding, building memory, preparing for battle. Serious side effects? They're rare, about 1 in a million, and when they happen, they're tracked globally. Systems like VAERS in the US and Vigibase internationally monitor patterns, investigate anomalies, and adjust recommendations. Safety isn't a checkbox, it's a living process, and vaccines are among the most monitored medical tools in history. Myth 5. Vaccines are rushed through approval. Truth. Approval is a gauntlet, not a rubber stamp. Some fear that vaccine approval is political, but the process is anything but simple. It starts with lab research, then animal trials, then 3 phases of human testing, each larger and more rigorous than the last. Then come independent reviews, regulatory audits, and post-market surveillance. In the US, the FDA, CDC, and ACIP all weigh in. Globally, the WHO and EMA add their scrutiny. This isn't one gate, it's a gauntlet. And every vaccine that makes it through has faced more scrutiny than most consumer products ever will. Emergency Use Authorization, EUA, is a legal mechanism used by regulatory agencies like the FDA during public health emergencies. It allows the use of medical products, including vaccines, before full formal approval, but only if there's strong evidence of safety and effectiveness, the known and potential benefits outweigh the known and potential risks. No adequate approved alternatives exist. EUA doesn't mean skipping trials. It means accelerating access while continuing to gather data. Myth 6. Vaccines cause more harm than good. Truth. Misinformation spreads faster than viruses, but truth has endurance. A single tweet can reach millions. A viral video can outpace a decade of research. But repetition isn't truth, and fear isn't fact. Credible sources, like the CDC, WHO, and peer-reviewed journals, offer data, transparency, and context. They don't always get it perfect, but they're accountable. Algorithms aren't. Misinformation thrives on emotion. Truth requires patience. And in public health, patience saves lives. The reports of myocarditis related to the COVID-19 vaccine were the result of overblown isolated incidents, often amplified without context and weaponized to fuel vaccine rejection. While it's true that a small number of myocarditis cases were observed, primarily in young males after mRNA vaccination, these cases were typically mild, treatable, and resolved quickly with rest or anti-inflammatory medication. The risk was real, but rare, about 1 in 15,000 to 1 in 50,000 in the highest risk group, depending on the study. What was often left out of the headlines was this: COVID-19 infection itself carries a higher risk of myocarditis, along with blood clots, arrhythmias, and long-term cardiovascular damage. In fact, the heart inflammation caused by the virus is more severe, more frequent, and more likely to result in hospitalization or death than the rare post-vaccine cases. Unfortunately, social media and some media outlets seized on these isolated reports, sometimes misattributing unrelated deaths or symptoms to vaccination without evidence. This fear was then exploited by anti-vaccine groups to sow doubt, despite the overwhelming consensus from cardiologists, epidemiologists, and public health agencies. The benefits of vaccination far outweigh the risks. In short, the myocarditis narrative became a cautionary tale, not about vaccine safety, but about how misinformation can outpace science and how fear can be weaponized faster than facts can catch up. Myth 7. If others are vaccinated, I don't need to be. Truth. Herd immunity only works when enough people participate. Not everyone can be vaccinated. Newborns, cancer patients, people with severe allergies. They rely on the rest of us. When enough people are immune, the virus has nowhere to go. It fizzles out. That's herd immunity. It's not just a statistic, it's a shield we build together, one shot at a time. Myth 8. Getting the disease builds stronger immunity. Truth. Natural infection is a gamble. Vaccines offer protection without the suffering. Measles can cause brain swelling. Chickenpox can lead to shingles. COVID can leave lasting damage to lungs, heart, and brain. Even mild cases can trigger long-term symptoms, without the risk of hospitalization, long-term harm, or death. Myth 9. You can't trust the system. Truth. Distrust has roots, and reckoning is overdue. Let's be honest, some communities have every reason to be wary. From Tuskegee to forced sterilizations, medical systems have failed, exploited, and ignored. That history matters, and it casts a long shadow. But so does progress. Today's vaccine trials include diverse participants. Oversight boards include community leaders. Transparency is growing. Trust isn't owed, it's earned, and it's being rebuilt. Myth 10. Vaccines are a personal choice. Truth? Public health is a shared story. Vaccines protect families, neighbors, and strangers. Every shot is a thread in the fabric of collective resilience. When you get vaccinated, you're not just protecting yourself, you're protecting the vulnerable. The baby too young for a shot. The nurse who sees 10 patients a day. The stranger on the bus. Public health isn't abstract, it's personal. And every choice we make echoes beyond ourselves. Myth 11. mRNA vaccines rewrite or alter your DNA. Truth? mRNA vaccines do not enter the nucleus and cannot change your DNA. mRNA, or messenger RNA, is a temporary set of instructions that tells your cells how to make a harmless piece of the virus, usually the spike protein. This protein trains your immune system to recognize and fight the real virus if it ever shows up. The mRNA stays in the cytoplasm of your cells. It never enters the nucleus, where your DNA lives. After delivering its message, the mRNA is broken down and discarded by the cell within hours or days. The word RNA sounds technical and mysterious, leading some to conflate mRNA with gene therapy, which does involve DNA modification. But mRNA vaccines are not gene therapy. Misinformation campaigns exploited this confusion to stoke fear and distrust. The National Institutes of Health, CDC, WHO, and countless independent researchers have confirmed mRNA vaccines do not alter or interact with your DNA in any way. They are instructional, not transformational. What about reverse transcription? Some fringe claims suggest mRNA could be reverse transcribed into DNA. In reality, human cells don't have the enzymes needed to do this with vaccine mRNA. Even in lab conditions with artificial setups, this process is extremely rare and biologically irrelevant. mRNA vaccines are like a whiteboard message. They deliver instructions, help your immune system learn, and then get erased. Your DNA remains untouched. Real-world consequences of vaccine refusal. Let's go beyond theory. Here's what happens when myths win. Measles resurgence in the U.S. 2019. Fueled by vaccine hesitancy, over 1,200 cases emerged, many among children. The disease had been declared eliminated in 2000. Pertussis spikes in California, 2010s. Vaccine refusal led to thousands of cases and infant deaths. The disease had been largely controlled until misinformation eroded trust. COVID-19 vaccine resistance of 2021-2022. Counties with lower vaccination rates saw dramatically higher hospitalization and death rates. ICU beds filled, families mourned, preventable loss became routine. The Danvaxia fallout in the Philippines, 2016. Premature rollout led to mistrust and a resurgence of measles and polio. Hundreds of thousands of children were affected. The backlash was swift and devastating. The Qatar incident, 1955. A faulty polio vaccine caused paralysis and death, leading to stricter oversight but lasting fear. Over 200,000 children were exposed. 10 died. 200 were permanently paralyzed. Toronto smallpox outbreaks, 1919. Anti-vaccine activism led to preventable deaths and overwhelmed hospitals. The Anti-Vaccination League of Canada rallied against inoculation. The virus didn't care. Vaccines aren't flawless, but they're formidable. When we turn away from them, the fallout isn't abstract. It shows up in crowded hospitals, in empty chairs at dinner tables, in grief that didn't have to happen. Understanding the science isn't just about data points or clinical trials. It's about protecting futures, quietly, powerfully, together. This is how we reclaim the story, not with fear, but with facts. If you found this video helpful, I'm glad. I also want to be clear that I'm not attacking anyone. I want you to have a more informed choice, whatever that choice may be. Thanks for watching. And as always, stay curious.